The Director of National Intelligence shows up at an election office during an FBI raid. Yet months later, she can't tell Congress if she actually found a single shred of foreign interference. We're watching a high-stakes game of political hide-and-seek, where the stakes are the very voting machines that power our democracy. Just this week, a male congressman sat across from Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel, peeling back the layers on why the federal government is seizing hardware in Puerto Rico and why the FBI director is guessing at crime stats like he's playing a carnival game. If you think the intelligence community is being transparent, these next few minutes are going to be a massive wake-up call. We've got the receipts on the evasions, the empty data, and the unprecedented power grabs happening in the shadows of the Capitol. Stick around and watch how this unfolds, because the official story is full of holes.
I'm going to recognize the ranking member for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Director Gabbard, as was well covered yesterday in January, you were present at the execution of an FBI warrant at the Fulton County, Georgia election office at the direction of the president and to all appearances in connection with the president's false claims about the 2020 election. The unsealed affidavit submitted by the FBI made zero reference to foreign powers or outside interference. I don't want to relitigate the reasons why you were there, but I do want to know whether, as a result of your visit, there is credible intelligence in your possession pointing to foreign interference in Georgia in the 2020 election.
Thank you for the question, Ranking Member. As you know, over each of the previous elections, there is an ongoing effort by different foreign entities.
Ma'am, it's a very specific question. Is there intelligence in your possession relative to foreign interference in the 2020 elections? Very simple, straightforward question.
We are continuing to look at previous attempts to interfere in our elections and any ongoing threats that may exist for the upcoming elections.
Okay, but can I assume that the answer to my question is no, that you have no specific intelligence related to foreign meddling in the Georgia election?
We are continuing to look into this matter.
Okay. Director, the ODNI has confirmed on the record that your office took custody of voting machines from Puerto Rico last May. I'm not aware of any previous DNI taking similar actions. Did your office promptly notify the committee about taking custody of Puerto Rico's voting machines?
I don't believe we did. However, this was done at the request of the Puerto Rico AUSA attorney.
Ma'am, it's a yes or no question. The answer, as you have acknowledged, is no. You did not inform the committee about the taking of a territory's voting machines. Is there a specific foreign threat? And I've read the reporting that you were looking for possible foreign threats, but is there a specific foreign threat that drove you to take this action?
There were questions about whether or not there were vulnerabilities that a threat could have taken advantage of, and that was the purpose for their requesting us to look into those vulnerabilities.
Where are those voting machines now?
I believe they are held in a secure facility at ODNI.
Have you or other ODNI officials taken any other state or territory's voting equipment into custody?
Not to my knowledge.
I want to turn on the subject of elections to a paradoxical thing. You will all be aware that the U.S. government is apparently going to grind to a halt. The president is going to sign no more bills. The Senate will spend 2 weeks apparently debating the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act, of course, would make illegal foreigners voting in U.S. elections, which is already illegal. So we are to do no more business because of apparently the existential threat to our democracy associated with foreigners voting in our elections. I am therefore puzzled by the fact that neither the unclassified nor the classified threat assessment makes any reference to risk or danger associated with foreigners voting in our elections. Director Patel, how many non-citizens have been convicted of voting in U.S. elections in the last 10 years?
The conviction stats are with the Department of Justice. I defer to them on that.
You are the director of the FBI. Give me a guess. How many convictions in the last 1 year, 5 year, or 10 years? Ballpark.
I don't have that with me, sir. Again, it's with the department.
You don't have that with, okay. Director Patel, how many active investigations does the FBI have into foreign individuals voting in U.S. elections?
We have a number of investigations, generally speaking, ongoing about individuals across the country.
Yeah, I'm asking for that number.
I don't have that number with me, but I have a number of them.
You have a number of investigations. Okay, is that number 10,000? Is it closer to 10,000 or closer to 10?
It's probably somewhere in between.
Okay, will you please provide the committee with that number?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Director Patel, since you don't have the numbers, would it surprise you to know that the Heritage Foundation, which is not exactly the Columbia University Faculty Lounge, found only 77 instances of non-citizen voting in the 24 years between 1999 and 2023, each of which faced investigation by the appropriate authorities. So Heritage has a number of 77 examples in 24 years. Does that number surprise you?
No, because it's low.
I don't understand your answer.
You asked me if I was
Are you
surprised by that
disputing,
number.
are you
I'm not.
disputing that the number is in the range of 77 examples of non-U.S. citizens voting in U.S. elections in a 24-year period?
I just said that number's low.
You think that number is low? Okay. So why, if this is a meaningful issue, do we have no, and I guess I direct this to Director Gabbard, why is there no mention of this thing that will grind the American government to a halt for a 2-week period in the worldwide threats analysis?
This annual threat assessment was shaped around the national security strategy's prioritization of threats to our nation and our nation's interests. There are multiple platforms and venues where there have been and there will be reporting on threats to our foreign threats to our elections.
I yield back.
He points out that Gabbard was physically present at an FBI warrant execution in Fulton County, Georgia. Now, why does that matter? Because the DNI is supposed to focus on foreign threats, not domestic police work. When he grills her on whether she actually has intelligence of foreign meddling in Georgia, Gabbard gives the most frustrating, circular answer you'll ever hear. She talks about ongoing efforts in general, but when pushed for a specific yes or no on Georgia, she completely folds into, "We are continuing to look into this." Honestly, this is a glaring loophole. If the top intelligence official in the country can't confirm a foreign threat after being on site for a raid, it strongly suggests the mission was more about political optics than actual national security. It's a classic Washington pivot to avoid admitting the cupboard is bare. Then the conversation takes a turn into the truly weird. The ODNI seizing voting machines from Puerto Rico. Tulsi Gabbard admits her office took these machines and didn't even bother to tell the Oversight Committee. That is a huge red flag. Usually we look to agencies like CISA for this, but Gabbard has these machines stashed in a secure facility at the ODNI. Her excuse? They were looking for vulnerabilities. But as the congressman points out, she can't name a specific foreign threat that triggered this. This feels like an unprecedented expansion of the DNI's power. Historically, we see these kinds of seizures when there's a smoking gun, but here, it seems like the government is just grabbing hardware because they can, bypassing the very people meant to keep them in check. The spotlight then shifts to Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, and this is where the intelligence starts to look more like guesswork. The congressman brings up the SAVE Act, which is currently stalling the entire U.S. government, and asks Patel a simple question. How many non-citizens have been convicted of voting in the last decade? Patel's answer is a total train wreck. He defers to the DOJ, and then, when pressed to just give a ballpark figure on investigations, he says it's somewhere between 10 and 10,000. Think about that. The head of the FBI can't tell the difference between a handful of cases and a national crisis. For a man in his position, that isn't just a lack of preparation, it's an admission that the policy is moving faster than the facts. The wow moment comes when the congressman cites the Heritage Foundation, hardly a liberal group, showing only 77 cases of non-citizen voting in 24 years. Kash Patel's response? He just says that number feels low. No data to back it up, no internal FBI reports to cite, just a gut feeling. This is where the danger lies. You cannot shut down the government based on a hunch. It shows a massive disconnect where political talking points are being treated as intelligence, even when the numbers don't exist. By the end, Tulsi Gabbard basically admits the truth. Non-citizen voting isn't even in the official worldwide threat assessment because it's not a priority. So while the Senate is grinding to a halt over this existential threat, the people in charge of tracking threats don't even have it on their list. It's a siloed information game where data is being twisted to fit a narrative. Whether it's stashing machines in Puerto Rico or guessing at fraud numbers in D.C., the transparency we're being promised is nowhere to be found. This hearing proved one thing. In Washington, the truth is often whatever you can get away with not saying.